Have you ever walked into a crowded room and locked eyes with someone who made time seem to stop? No words, no reason, just something quiet yet powerful pulling your soul toward them. Like two puzzle pieces that had been lost, finally finding each other again. This isn't coincidence. This is synchronicity, a term Carl Jung used to describe meaningful coincidences, moments when your inner world aligns perfectly with the outer one. Jung believed the universe never shouts, it whispers. And when someone enters your life in that electric silence, they're not just a random person you happen to meet. They could be a mirror, a messenger from your subconscious, or even a soul trigger sent to awaken you to yourself. Have you ever noticed a song plays just as you think of them? A recurring dream, a chance encounter at a faraway airport that feels anything but random. These strange, almost illogical things stir a very real feeling inside. I'm being guided. Soul love isn't like ordinary love. It doesn't rush. It's not always sweet. What it does is awaken the parts of you you've forgotten. It brings your light and your shadows to the surface, not to hurt, but to heal, not to make you dependent, but to help you become fully, deeply, unapologetically you. So, how do you know when someone is sent by the universe? How can you tell the difference between a random person and a mirror soul? And more importantly, when your heart is overflowing, are you falling for them or seeing yourself in their reflection? In the next part, we'll dive into the uncanny yet crystal clear signs that the universe has truly brought someone into your life. With Carl Jung as our guide, we'll begin to unlock the language of synchronicity and discover what really stirs within our soul when we meet the one. There are moments you just can't explain. You walk into a strange cafe in a city you barely know, and your eyes suddenly meet a stranger's. No one says a word, no greeting, but something stops inside you, as if time pauses, as if the universe just whispered something profoundly important into your ear without using words. Carl Jung called this a meaningful coincidence, synchronicity, a way the universe speaks to us not through language, but through feeling, not through logic, but through a deep inner resonance. Events that seem like coincidences are not random. They are the voice of the unconscious trying to be heard. C.G. Jung. Soul love doesn't always arrive like a storm. Sometimes it comes like a soft breeze at sunset, quiet, unassuming. Just a pause, a strange sense of peace that washes over you the moment you stand near someone, even if it's just for a few seconds. Not because they're attractive, not because they're charming, but because there's something about them that feels familiar. You can't name it, but you know it's real. Elena, 34, from Seattle, once shared in a spiritual forum, I met him at a healing workshop. We just stood next to each other during a guided meditation. No introductions, no small talk. But when I opened my eyes and saw him, I burst into tears, not out of sadness, but because it felt like I had just found a long-lost part of myself from another lifetime. They never exchanged numbers. No follow-up. But that man's image stayed with her for years. Not like a crush, but like a key that unlocked a forgotten door in her soul. When something truly important is about to happen, the universe doesn't knock loudly. It taps gently on your heart. Like soft rain in the middle of the night, only those awake will hear it. The first sign isn't a racing heart. It's not butterflies. It's a peace you can't explain. Like you've just come home, even if the person in front of you is a complete stranger. Like you've been waiting for them, even though you don't know their name. Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." When you begin to understand yourself, when you stop running from pain, stop avoiding your inner darkness, the universe responds, not with rewards, but with reflections. That person doesn't come to save you. They come to illuminate you, not to make you happy, but to make you awake. They're not always meant to stay, but they will touch a part of you you've forgotten. They'll remind you of the pieces within you that once felt lost or dead. And if you're quiet enough, awake enough, you'll hear the unspoken question. Are you ready to face yourself? Have you ever met a stranger who made you feel like you were speaking to your own soul? Someone you couldn't stop thinking about, not because you love them, but because they awakened something deep within you. Share your story in the comments. This is a space for souls who've experienced synchronicity to remind each other that we're not too strange for feeling this way. You are not alone. We're remembering together. But if that person was truly sent by the universe, how would you know? Is it just a feeling? Or does the universe have its own symbolic language and signs nudging you gently to say, pay attention, this is not random? In the next chapter, we'll dive into synchronicity, the sacred coincidences, the repeating signs, the eerie moments of alignment, and why you should trust that you're not imagining things you're awakening. There are moments when the universe doesn't stay silent. It sends repeating signs, strings of coincidences, so precise they leave your heart stunned. Carl Jung called this synchronicity a meaningful coincidence, when two or more events occur with no causal connection, yet carry a message so profound you can't ignore it. You're thinking about someone, and minutes later they text you. A song crosses your mind, and right then it starts playing on the radio. You pass by a bookstore, and there it is, the exact book you've been craving suddenly appears before you. It stirs a memory, a message, something you've been avoiding. These aren't just random breezes. They're steps in an invisible dialogue between your soul and the universe. The key question is, how do you tell the difference between real synchronicity and illusions born from your own longing? True intuition comes unexpectedly, wrapped in calm, free of expectation. Feels like you're hearing something without listening for it, as if it enters through a third ear, silent but unmistakably clear. The sign doesn't push you to act, it gently invites you to pay attention to something meaningful. Illusions from desire often come with tension, anxiety, or an intense eagerness. Don't feel natural. You go searching for signs, assigning meaning everywhere, like seeing their name everywhere and calling it destiny. These illusions tend to spark excitement, followed by disappointment, because they were built on no solid ground. A real-life example Lynn from Boston shared: I had just gone through a breakup and felt so alone. I started seeing Jack's name everywhere on signs, license plates, receipts. Every J, every number 11 felt like he was right beside me, but it was all my subconscious longing. When I finally began to heal and stop searching, that's when the real synchronicities appeared. His favorite song would randomly play every morning, like something I needed to hear, not just something I wanted to. Once you begin the journey inward, facing questions you've long avoided, synchronicities begin to show up. The universe starts responding through signs, a message at the right time, the perfect page in a book, a lyric you didn't expect. Not to hand you shortcuts, but to test if you're truly ready to move forward. Have you ever questioned whether a sign was just your mind playing tricks, only to later realize it might have been real? Or have you ever stopped searching, gone quiet, and something undeniably true found its way to you? Share your story in the comments, because not everyone says this out loud, and you won't be alone in your experience. Repeating signs make you wonder, is this really the universe speaking to me? But how do we trust that? How do we stop being misled by illusions? In the next part, we'll explore how to tell the difference between life-changing synchronicity and ego-driven fantasy, and why some connections feel like meeting someone you've known forever. Mysterious and deeply real. Don't look away, because in the quiet of synchronicity, you might just find yourself. You see them for the first time, your eyes meet, and somehow you see yourself. Not the polished version, but the shadowed corners you've buried, the parts you've hidden away. It's not their perfection that draws you in, but a strange inner resonance. Something raw, something real. Jung called this phenomenon projection, when we unconsciously project parts of ourselves onto others, especially the parts we've been afraid to face. And in that moment, you don't just fall for them, you're silently begging yourself to be loved too. According to Jung, every man carries within him the image of the Anima, his inner feminine. Every woman the Animus, her inner masculine. When you meet someone who activates that polarity, you're not just encountering them, you're meeting a part of yourself through them. Real stories. Chris 38 reflects, I was drawn to her, not just her looks, but the softness she carried. I realized it was my own Anima, something I'd buried beneath layers of societal pressure. Mia 29 shared, I couldn't explain why I felt so pulled toward him. Then I saw it. I was searching for the strength and clarity within me, mirrored back through him, my animus. That person becomes a mirror showing you what you've denied, suppressed, or forgotten. That's why the connection feels so deep, like you're meeting yourself again, not a refined version, but the original, the one with scars and stories. You don't just encounter your hidden beauty, you also face the wounds you've kept locked away. You feel seen, understood, but also exposed. The other person isn't perfect, but somehow they make you feel whole, even with the parts you cling to just to stay safe. The energy between you goes beyond logic. It's like falling into a love that dives straight into your unconscious, so real it doesn't need explaining. Denise 31 recalls, when I met Marco, I felt like loneliness shattered. Old fears rushed back in. I realized his eyes weren't just looking at me, they were reaching the scared 12-year-old still inside. Marco, in return, remembers, in Denise's eyes, I saw myself. It felt like she was responding to a part of me I'd long lost: empathy, understanding the anima I'd always been searching for. This isn't just an emotional bond, it's a mirrored inner journey you both embark on. Not just because of each other, but because of what you're reclaiming within yourselves. A small Jungian inner reflection, fill in the blank. In their eyes, I saw the part of me that self-reflect. What hurt you the most when they mirrored something back to you? Was it a part of yourself you once rejected? Journal it. Write down what you truly felt. Then return to it with compassion, not to fix, but to fully witness it. If you've ever been tired of messy relationships, but one day you saw your own depth reflected in someone's eyes, leave a comment. Your story could inspire others to realize they're not alone in this crowded world, that something sacred still awaits them within their own soul. In the next chapter, we'll explore the phase where pain becomes a sign of awakening, when that person unlocks your inner shadow, and why the pain isn't an ending, but a beginning. Are you ready to walk through the storm and find the most whole version of yourself? Stay with me for what's next, where your broken pieces and old wounds might just become your inner light. When a soul connection breaks, the first thing you feel isn't regret. It's the sound of something shattering inside you. Jung once said, only when we meet our inner darkness do we begin the journey of becoming whole. It's no coincidence that our deepest wounds often bring us closest to our truest soul. Pain doesn't arrive to destroy, it comes to awaken. It's proof that you're walking the deep, courageous path of individuation. The pain of a spiritual earthquake. You feel torn apart, betrayed, abandoned, discarded. But in that moment, Jung invites you to look deeper. Why does it hurt this much? What part of you was already wounded long before this? If you run from the pain, it becomes a scar. But if you stay and listen, the pain becomes a guide. It points directly to the place inside you that's still bleeding and still waiting to be healed. Pain isn't about them. It's about the part of you that's been left behind. Heartbreak isn't just pain over someone else. It's a signal that there's a part of you you haven't made peace with yet. Maybe it's your vulnerability, your need to be loved, your fear of being left. That pain is a map leading you back to the self you once abandoned. Jungian Healing Practices 1. Writing through the wound. Dialogue with your feelings. Write a letter to the person who hurt you or to yourself. Let the emotions rise, write them out raw and uncensored. Ask the questions you've been afraid to ask. End the letter with forgiveness for both yourself and them. 2. Shadow work. Facing what you've rejected. Say to yourself, what I hate most in them might be what I've been avoiding in myself. Write down the traitor behavior. Complete the sentence, I too have. This isn't to blame yourself, but to reclaim your hidden shadow with gentleness. 3. Meditation for inner pain. Witness without running. Sit quietly for 10-15 minutes each day. When pain arises, don't push it away. Watch it like a cloud drifting across your inner sky. Label each feeling: fear, anger, emptiness, with curiosity, not judgment. 4. Reconnect with your inner child. Place a hand over your heart and gently say, little one, I'm here now. You're not alone anymore. Ask, what do you need right now? Then give yourself the space to listen, comfort, and care. Emily, 29, from Denver, shared, when he left, I thought I was broken. I blamed myself, I wasn't good enough. But through journaling and shadow work, I realized I'd abandoned my dream of singing, buried my emotions out of fear I'd never be accepted. After 6 months of inner work, I didn't just return to who I was, I reclaimed the voice I'd lost. That wasn't recovery, it was rebirth. If you've ever felt that kind of pain and asked yourself, am I broken? Comment below, I'm healing. You don't have to walk through this alone. This community is where we rise, where fragments become forms of deeper beauty. In the next chapter, we'll explore shadow awakening, why soulmates don't just bring light, but also lead us straight into the parts of ourselves we've buried, and how with awareness that shadow becomes a teacher, not an enemy. When someone special enters your life, not just stirring your heart, but igniting a full-blown storm inside, you know it's no accident. Carl Jung called it an encounter with destined love, a soul connection that arrives to awaken your shadow, the buried emotions, the long-forgotten wounds, the parts of you you'd rather no one ever sees. But it's exactly in the darkness where your truest light begins to rise. 1. Karmic love, the cycle of repetition essence. The closer you get, the further it feels. Intense yet unstable. Old wounds keep replaying. Clear signs. You feel obsessed. You constantly ask, why do I keep coming back to this person? Hidden purpose, to expose deep wounds. But if you chase it blindly, you get stuck in a loop of emotional karma. 2. Mature love, the path of conscious growth essence. It may begin with sparks, but grows through understanding, mutual respect, and healing. Healthy signs, you're drawn inward, feeling deeply without losing yourself. Higher purpose, to awaken the shadow and integrate it so it no longer controls you. When the shadow awakens, and why that's a gift. Love exposes the hidden corners of your being. When you meet a destined connection, things you've buried, jealousy, fear of abandonment, feeling unseen, surface with force, not because they're doing something wrong, but because you're facing the unhealed parts within yourself. The shadow is not your enemy. It's the wounded self waiting to be loved, Jung wrote. Before we can connect with our wholeness, the shadow must be acknowledged. When someone mirrors your hidden pain, they're not attacking you. They're awakening you. Alex, 36, shared, I was powerfully drawn to Jamie. He was quiet, sometimes cold. But what I saw wasn't his coldness, it was the cold part inside me that had grown used to being alone. Jamie reflected, with Alex I felt his lack of trust in me, but I realized that fear didn't belong to him alone. It was my own fear of abandonment, still raw from the past. They weren't just looking at each other. They were seeing themselves reflected back through the soul of another. How do you know this is growth, not just more wounding? You start asking yourself the hard questions. Why does his silence make me feel like I can't breathe? That's your signal. You sit with it instead of running away. Instead of ending the relationship, you pause. You say, this jealousy, this fear, I'm feeling it not just because of him, but because of a part of me that hasn't healed yet. You seek support instead of isolation. Whether through therapy, journaling, or connecting with your inner child, each step, however small, brings you closer to yourself. Shadow healing practices, 1 shadow journal. Write 3-5 times a week. Ask yourself, what do I feel when he pulls away? Where have I felt that before, e.g., when mom went silent, I felt terrified. 2 inner child dialogue. Write a letter. Sweetheart, your feelings are valid. Ask when you're scared of losing him. How can we comfort you together? 3 selective sharing. Open up to a trusted friend, coach, or in a mindful forum, not just to vent, but to reflect meaningfully. Every time you share, you don't just release, you reclaim a piece of yourself. 4 shadow holding meditation. Sit quietly for 10-15 minutes. Visualize holding the part of you in pain, not pushing it away, but cradling it. Feel every wave, fear, anger, grief, without letting it drown you. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship so intense it left your inner world spinning? Did you walk away or stay to grow? Drop a comment with I choose to heal. Your story matters. Every time you speak, you give someone else the courage to believe they're not alone in their inner storm. Your healing invites others to choose transformation over escape. In Chapter 6, we'll journey through soul lessons. When they come but don't stay, why some soul connections are meant to unlock you, not to last forever. The path continues. Stay with me as we take the final step into this sacred unfolding. At this point, we've journeyed through 5 chapters, from the first quiet signs to those mysterious synchronicities, from seeing yourself reflected in another to walking through deep pain, and finally to the awakening of the shadow. Now we stand at the threshold of a bigger question, that love isn't just something to feel, it's something meant to transform you in the most profound way. Carl Jung once said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people." If you've ever sought someone to complete you, to fill a space inside that felt empty, then maybe you're ready to see the truth. They didn't come to complete you. They came to awaken the parts of you you had forgotten so you could return to yourself. When you find the courage to face your shadow, when you choose healing over running, you'll realize that love, even the kind that left you in tears, gave you something far greater: inner freedom. You no longer live for someone else's love. You live for your own truth. You live with raw emotion and with the wisdom that even the relationships that broke you also made you. This video isn't just a lesson, it's your life. Your heartbreaks, your silent tears, and those quiet moments when you didn't cry, but still broke open. Each tear was a footprint walking through a part of your soul that had never been seen before. And when you return from that place, you're no longer the same. You are a woman, a man more grounded, more luminous, more real than ever. Tell us in the comments which sign or moment in this journey awakened something in you. Was it the first still silence, the strange pull of synchronicity, or the pain that led you into your shadow? Your story could be a light for someone still stumbling in the dark, a reminder that they are not alone in the depths. When you feel lost, when you fear your own shadow, come back to this video. Say to yourself, I listened to the whisper of the universe. I looked into the dark and found a path to healing. Let the signs you experience become more than fleeting moments. Let them become a journey of value deepening with time. If this video helped you, understand why love can be a form of soul therapy. Realize that you're not at the end, but at the start of a rebirth. Feel inspired to keep healing, to rewrite your inner story. Then please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss Chapter 6, Soul Lessons. When they don't stay, why does your soul never forget? As you step away from this video, take a deep breath. Feel your heartbeat. Do you sense both the ache and the aliveness at once? If part of you feels missing, if another part feels electrified with light, that's the first sign. You're not just watching this, you're living it.